Me and Matthew are still up here getting it done, and now we are with our friend Steve Burnett. Now, Steve, I feel like our audience sees your name all the time, and now they're putting a face to it.
Well, I'd like to think that. You've been a big help in that, especially. So, yeah, thank you.
We're fans of your product. It's kind of fun because Steve's got his booth right next here to the broadcast booth, and so we're having a lot of fun. We've been able to connect and chat a little bit, and I see a lot of people walking away with these books.
Right.
So I don't remember how it was we connected. I don't know if I saw your website or maybe you emailed us, but I don't remember how it happened. But
well, I do.
Okay. Well, how did it go down? How did we get to know Steve Burnett?
Well, when I first started a year ago in April, my first grand marketing scheme was to mail out a bunch of information to top companies in the United States, top trainers. And I did about 100 of those. And out of that 100, I'm going to admit this, 2 people. A lot of people responded and, gave me information and said, hey, that sounds pretty good. But only 2 people really responded and said, hey, wow, I get it. I totally get it. You were the first one to call me. And I was at work, my real job, right?
Yeah.
So I go out in the parking lot and I'm talking to you and I'm like, I can't believe I'm talking to this concealedcarry.com owner. And he called me and you're like, hey, I totally get this. This is a really good idea, and I'm interested in talking to you about it. So that's how we got started.
Well, there you go. So, and I want to hear a little bit about kind of the engineering and the idea that went into this. But for those who aren't familiar, what we basically have, and here's what really blew my mind is I get the sense that a lot of people, they go to the range, they go to train, and they go without any purpose.
Right.
That they show up at the range and they're like, okay, I guess I'm going to put up a target and load some mags and shoot at the target and go home. And that's not helping.
Guilty as charged.
Right. No, we've all been there. We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the problem is we're not really doing much there other than spending money.
Exactly.
to some degree.
Or taking away a false sense of skill, or accomplishment.
Yeah.
So I had that same frustration. That's kind of, I've shared this with you in the past, is that the beginning of this whole idea was born out of necessity, right? Like a lot of them. And I went to training, and about 2 weeks later decided I'm going to go back and practice what I learned, and I couldn't remember anything, and I didn't have anything in my hand when I left. And so I was researching the drills, which took a lot of time, and I couldn't figure out based on how they were written if I was really shooting it right and all that good stuff. So I spent a lot of time coming up, trying to find the drill, and then I'd go there and try to shoot it, and I wasn't quite sure if I was shooting it to standard or not. And so being an engineer and, kind of particular about that stuff, I spent some time making sure I had the details. And I thought, if I feel like this, other people probably feel like this too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what started it.
So what's really born out of that, I want to pop this thing in, and this book's got a lot of stuff other than these drill cards, but I suspect this is where a lot of our conversation is going to be focused, is you started originally with 30 of these drills.
Yes.
And so I just pulled out the bill drill.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows the bill drill. And what's beautiful about this is I love the back of the card more than anything else, frankly, is it has just a really clear description of how to set up and run this drill. Right. So we got, this is the type of target, this is the distance, this is how you set it up. Here's, different stages. Very clear, this one is 7 yards, strong 2-hand grip, fire 6 rounds, and then instructions. That's start, draw, and fire 6 rounds at target as fast as possible. Mm-hmm. It's really, really clean. And so, what you were just talking about, this idea, well, this is how I run the drill. Right. And I appreciated that. When I saw the product, I was like, okay, that's awesome. That's really cool. But I think that you went kind of took care of the other side of the coin, if I can say it, with the other side of the sheet. And that is, okay, well, it's great that I now know how to run the drill, but am I actually improving?
Right.
Because all of us understand the concept of what's not measured can't be improved, right? If I have no idea how good I am, how in the world do I know if I'm getting any better?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So the drill card's all about, okay, every time I run this drill, let's mark it down. Let's see how I progress over time.
Right. And the drill cards are set up, just like you said, to be able to measure. In fact, the basic description of our system is shoot, measure, improve. I mean, it's that simple. That concept is how we built the entire product. So each card, you can record your performance 7 times. So that doesn't mean you shoot it 7 times. That means you go 7 times to the range. So typically, I think most trainers would tell you, practice for 15, 20 minutes. At that point, you're kind of probably over the hump of what you're going to do. And then one time for the record, and I kind of kid people, choose it's going to be on the record before you shoot it. Don't shoot it and then go, hey, I like that score.
Yeah,
that's what I'm going to put.
That's what I'm keeping.
That's what I'm keeping. That's right. Now this is important too, because I like what you said. Because what someone might be tempted to do is go to the range and say, okay, I'm gonna pick a drill today. I'm gonna do bill drill, and I'm gonna do this 30 times, and then go home. And there's a danger with that, right, Matthew?
Yeah, I think, if you're practicing something incorrectly and you do it over and over, you're building incorrect skills, right? Right. But I like the concept where you have multiple drills that you can run, where you can you do one drill, you go to the next one, and it's very sequential. And the way you have it set up is these drills kind of connect with one another, where if I want to go out and I want to work on trigger control, you have drills that are that improve that specific skill, rather than going out and trying to say, I want to practice today, I'm going to work on trigger control, I'm going to work on recoil management, I'm going to work. You can't do it all. It's like going to the gym and trying to, you work on, legs and chest day, right? Like when I go to the gym, obviously I go to the gym quite a bit, you can tell. But so I go to the gym, I work on chest or something, right? I don't just go in there and start, do a jumping jack, then I do a pull up, I run over here, do a squat. It's very specific to a skill, and the way you have this set up. I remember when I was talking to Jacob about this, I saw it and it blew me away. It seriously allows somebody to almost have an instructor with them to kind of guide them through and actually measure what they're doing. Very awesome product. I mean, I'm not trying to sell it or anything. It blew me away.
Well, if you want to, I'm okay with that. But so as a trainer, Matthew, and we talked offline earlier. So I want to just make people understand the whole intent behind this product is to extend the trainers, training that you've learned and the skills you've learned with your trainer. This is what you can do, what the drills are, not how to do them. So how to do them comes from the trainer, and then this gives you something to practice to. And so we say practice tools to reinforce your handgun training. So we are trying to fill a gap, not compete with trainers. Quite the opposite. Our products actually can help trainers stay connected to their students and give the students something to take away from class.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of have this philosophy in our company where we call it training, learning, and practice. Training is when we get formal instruction from someone who knows more than us. Usually it costs money. Practice is where we take those things that we know we need, the skills we need to build, and we go get repetitions on our own. And to your point, I love your story. You said, I took a class, and then I went to practice, and I was like, wait, I don't remember what to practice. And so the idea is just to have a template via which we approach that practice to effectively build skills. And that's the key. Is like, okay, if I want to work on speed, if that's a skill I want to focus on speed, I want to focus on my reloads maybe, then great. I can go pick out 4 or 5 drills that are going to help me focus on that, and I'm going to warm up. I'm going to run those drills a couple of times, get my official scores in all of them, and great. I had a session at the range, very efficient. I didn't have a lot of wasted ammo, which costs a lot of money. And now I know that I've worked on a skill, and more importantly, I'll be able to go back later and say, oh look, I've improved actually that skill. I'm better now than I was.
Yeah, that's the hope is that it helps people actually improve and know they've improved. I have a saying that kind of was like the feeling I had in my heart about what I wanted this to be for people, and that was basically never leave the range again wondering if you've improved. I mean,
I love that.
It's where I'm at. It's where the business has kind of started. It's what I want for other people. And before I came out with the product, I did some market research, and you'd appreciate that because you're like the greatest marketing guy I've ever met. And the results was I went out to 18. There were like 7, 8 trainers, and everyone else was just regular guys shooting. And of them, I asked them a question. I said, "Do you think your training regimen is effective?" And they said, "No." And and then the other question was, "Well, is it important to you?" "Yes." So it was very strange to have 80% of that group, and it wasn't statistical, but it was important, yet not. They're saying, yeah, it's not effective. And I thought, okay, well, I'm not alone. At least I know that. And it was just a very interesting result that I got out of that little tiny, market research study.
Yeah, so for people who are watching this, I think so a couple major takeaways here that I think are important. You need to be thinking about when I go practice, when I get and by the way, your product's called live fire drill cards, but equally applies to dry fire and live fire.
You can always dry fire a live fire drill,
It's
right?
just a drill, yeah. So and you can still measure it the same and keep track. You wouldn't want to measure a dry versus a live, obviously, but you dry versus dry, live versus live.
Yep.
So if I'm out there, if I'm getting practice, if I'm putting in the repetitions, if I'm putting in the time, the energy, and the money, all very important resources to all of us because we're busy humans, then I need to know that I'm actually gaining something, that I'm growing a skill. And there's a certain number of tools out there that can help with that. And so I think that's the key message. Whether you're using this or not, I think the message to someone today in this conversation is your training regimen efficient and effective? Right. Because I think the efficient thing is important. By the way, we've been talking mostly about effective. Yeah. But my experience is that most people have a limited amount of time and a limited amount of money for ammo. Yeah. Well, so efficient's important too.
Yeah, and I also tell people don't waste all of your time looking for drills. Time is money. I mean, people's time is valuable, and they're busy. Like we're all busy. I haven't met too many people that aren't busy. Yeah. And so I have done all that work for you. They're right at your fingertips. For $69.95 normal at the show, 20% off. But to look for 45 drills, I can tell you it's a little bit of time. So you've got it all done.
This is, and we've been talking about how it helps the individual shooter, but this is also a product that is equally important to instructors because I'll tell you, for me personally, using this changed a lot of the way I could instruct. Individually, I used to have to. I'd go write down drills, fill out, their times and everything, and it was never consistent. And now with this, I mean, you have it down. You have the loadout. Where are you shooting it from concealment? Are you shooting it open? What holster are you using? What firearm? And it really just makes it so much easier, and it's clear. It's clearly understandable. It just the way you have the setup is genius. You took, the mind of the instructor and put it in a way that you could engage the student over and over again and continue that connection with them in a great way. So
well, thank you. I definitely want to give credit to those instructors that helped me. This is a book that was born out of instructors' input, and it wasn't just me. And so I'm happy. There's some safety messages in there, and there's some strong messaging about practice accuracy first, then start worrying about time. Do not do it the other way around. That came from the trainers.
Sure. Right. Something else is also noteworthy is that, it's not like Steve went out and invented 45 drills. No. These are drills that are industry standard drills from the top trainers of the last several decades. Right. And obviously they're credited here. We know where these drills came from, but that's really important too. Yes. This isn't pulled out of a pocket somewhere. Right. These are the industry standard drills. So Steve, I got to know what's your favorite drill and why.
Yeah. I think the fast drill is my favorite.
Why? Why is it? Why is your favorite?
Because I can actually do it.
We like what we're good at.
I'm just saying. So but it's just plugging 10 shots into a bullseye at a distance and going back and forth. It's just a fun, quick drill. It also. Some of the drills, most of the drills I tried to pick were a reasonable amount of rounds. So it's quick. You can do it over and over, and you're not burning up 500 rounds.
Sure. How about you, Matthew? Your favorite drill?
You know what? You opened it up to the bill drill.
Yeah.
But I like the bill drill. I don't know why. It's just something that's it's a standard drill. It's quick. It's good. And
not a lot of ammo.
Yeah. I mean, I just that in the ammo thing. Because you get up there in ammo, the drills, and then you can only run them so many times. I like drills that you can low ammo allocation for that drill and run it a bunch of times. So I like the bill drill. Yeah. How about you?
Well, two come to my mind immediately. One would be I love the effective distance drill.
Yeah.
I think it's just a real good way to benchmark, to get a sense for where a person's skills are. So I really like it. But another one that's kind of interesting is the FBI qualification drill. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't have any specific love for the FBI qualification, but what I do know is that students, people who are new to the industry, and they hear that there's an FBI qualification drill, and they get to the point where they can run that really efficiently, that builds a great deal of confidence. Like, oh, I'm like an FBI agent.
Right.
It's like, well, not technically, but I'm glad you've built your skills and you're feeling warm and fuzzy. So there's something about a drill that just has a certain amount of notoriety. Oh, the FBI. Oh, no,
Right.
I could qualify that.
You don't have a badge in here.
No.
that they get when they.
No. I wouldn't want to do that.
Benchmark.
But I like that one. That one took me a while to do. It was one of my first ones that I actually had drafted of the first 30.
Yeah.
But also the triple nickels in there.
Yeah.
And so I met a triple nickel holder here, and he liked it, and he got to talk to him about it. And then I went and looked at his YouTube video.
Yeah.
Wow, is it an awesome?
And Gary Quisenberry, he's going to be on with us later, and he's a triple nickel holder number 5.
Yeah.
So he was very early on, and as I recall, he's got the tattoo to prove it.
He does.
So he's a sharp dude, and we're going to have him on later as
is.
well. Steve, this is really exciting. People who want to learn more about live fire drill cards, obviously livefiredrillcards.com, your site.
Yep.
You have all the products there. You have really kind of kits too that people can buy that come with the targets and everything together. We have a limited amount of your products also for sale on concealcarry.com that people can check there as well. Any other thoughts? Anything you want to leave with the viewers?
Well, I'd just like to say that if you're frustrated like I was, you want to know if you're getting better and not spend a lot of time, come talk to us. I'd love to talk to you about the product. And I think especially trainers, I'm really starting to reach out to trainers in a strong way. And we have a new product called Trial Packs that are specifically for trainers to be able to give out at the end of a class. They're very inexpensive. They're a little sample of the system. And there's some other perks that go with it. So if they're interested in understanding a little bit about how they can grow their business using these products, love to talk to them.
Yeah, that's clever. I'm
great. Interested. Can we talk?
Yes.
Not now, guys. So thank you so much for joining us.